Do you find yourself overweight and in your 40s and above? Look, we're in good company. It happens to all of us, even if we are runners, even if we have been running for a long time. Our habits may not have changed. We may have adopted different types of habits. And I've been running for like 10 years. I've done ultra marathons, I've done marathons, half marathons, 10Ks. I've done a lot. I've run up to like 80 kilometers a week, all the way up to 160 miles in a week. I've done 100 miles in a week. Look, I've been very inconsistent in my running. And over the last probably, I'd say 3 months, I've been having this, I've had the opportunity to kind of go deep inside and figure out kind of where I'm going wrong and why I keep binge eating, why I keep bouncing around, and why I go from, 170 pounds and I went all the way back up to 227. And, I worked really hard at losing a lot of that weight. But here's the thing. There's just no one simple thing to point at and say, that's the reason, because we're all different. So whether you're going through these issues, just like I am, our bodies are very different. And so because of that, it makes talking about this a little bit harder when you're looking for one thing to kind of help figure things out and to lose weight, right? You just can't outrun a bad diet. And whether you're binging or not, let's talk about the reason why people do binge. Look, binge eating is super common, and especially for people who are active. And who have a long history of fluctuating weight. I can raise my hand to this, right? It's often tied to a combination of, I would say, emotional triggers and habits and, biological responses. So look, here's a breakdown of why I think it happens and what can be done about it if you're going through this whole binge eating thing. So why is it that people binge eat? First thing I would say is emotional triggers. And this is stress, boredom, loneliness, even celebration can drive binge eating, right? Look, food becomes a way of managing or a way of escaping feelings, I would say. And I guess I've been seeing a lot of that happen with all of the things that have been going on with my family and with everyone getting sick. And I guess I've been struggling trying to deal with my emotions when it comes to this. I think the other thing is restrictive dieting. Okay, so if you've been on a strict diet in the past, you kind of know what it's like, right? Your brain might overcompensate with cravings, right? And I would say that's me, and that all or nothing mindset, like, running an 80 kilometer race and then kind of falling back down and just doing 20 kilometers, it can bleed into eating habits. And I think it's something that I need to kind of work my way through. Say the third thing is blood sugar spikes, right? So like high sugar, high carb foods like donuts, right? Donuts and bread and bagels and all that kind of stuff. It can cause quick spikes and crashes in blood sugar. And it can also trigger more cravings. And I've seen that happen too, right? I end up working a lot with the public, trying to find houses and stuff like that. And when you're meeting people and you're sitting down and you're having a coffee, then you have a little bagel or you have a little donut or whatever it is, these things cause my blood sugar to spike from one meeting to the next, to the next, to the next. And that's kind of what my day looks like. And so I gotta figure this stuff out. My fourth thing is habitual patterns. Grabbing that bag of chips and eating the whole thing becomes a pattern. And it's almost like it's automatic, like once it's started. You just can't stop. It's like those commercials. You just can't eat one. You just got to eat the whole bag of chips. Sure, thanks. think I'm up to 5. Yeah, I would say dopamine response. Foods high in fat, salt, and sugar light up the reward centers of your brain. I know what does for me, and it reinforces the habit. So I just have to stop kind of gravitating towards a lot of those foods because, man, it's bing, 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 bing all day. The dopamine response I'm getting from the foods I eat, I think this is what's happening to me. I think that's what's going on. So here's the thing, like, what can be done? Like, what can I do? Well, first off, I think I can deal with it with mindful eating. So I need to slow down when I'm eating. I need to focus on, the food that I'm eating, the bite, like eating slowly and tasting my food and the texture. And it kind of helps break the autopilot response, I guess you could say. I also have to change the environment. So if chips are in my house, or if I'm going to buy chips, they're probably going to be they're not probably going to they are getting eaten, probably even before I get home. So I got to try not to trigger that, like not to be around the trigger foods. Or buy a single serving bag of chips. That would be great. Have you noticed that if you go to the gas station, they have all the junk food at the front? And we all know that that's impulse buying, right? Dopamine hits. But have you noticed that the chocolate bars aren't just one chocolate bar now? Now there's like 2 chocolate bars inside one package, but it costs a lot more. But you end up eating double the amount if you fall into that craving. And if you cave and you grab it, all of a sudden now you're eating 2 of them. I've caught myself and I've put them down, but I realize, I'm like, wait a minute, there's 2 of them in this thing. Something to be aware of. Next one I would say is routine over motivation. So much like my running is more consistent with a goal, setting daily routines for meals can also help. So if I structure my eating much like I would a training plan, I don't think that's a bad thing, and I don't think it's something that would work for everybody. But if I look at it that way, maybe it'll work. And I think I need to dig down a little bit more and kind of look at the bigger picture when it comes to that one. Okay, so I'm talking about healthy swaps. Now, if you crave crunch like I do, swap chips for, like, let's say roasted chickpeas or the guts garbanzo beans, I guess you could call it, or raw veggies, right? Or if it's sugar, try fruit, try dark chocolate, the 75% or higher. I've done that and it actually seems to work pretty well. Fuel my consistency. So big gaps between meals maybe can cause like overcompensation later, right? So maybe if I balance meals, a little bit better with my proteins and my healthy fats, and, make sure that the fiber is there to help stabilize the blood sugar. Maybe these are some things that I need to kind of dig a little bit more into. And I think I would need to address the emotional triggers. So if stress or emotions are driving me to food, I need to consider non-food alternatives, like going for a walk, doing a quick body weight workout, like maybe quick 10 set of push-ups or crunches or something like that, or even just taking a couple of big deep breaths in the moment, right? Maybe these things can help with that. I've done it in the past, and I think they do work, but maybe not for everybody. And the next would be like setting non-race goals, right? So I've said it before, when I'm consistent, I am consistent when I have a race. And so why not set smaller, consistent goals in between? Like, let's say weekly mileage targets or time targets, maybe monthly challenges, or even like a little bit of a run streak. Like say for 30 days, I could try that out again. These are just some of the things that could help with the whole binge eating and address it, so we don't keep going through these cycles over and over and over again. I think it's doable. I think I can do it. But I'm throwing it out here to be raw with you as I sit in front of Starbucks just before I go into another meeting. from me to you, thank you for tuning in. Thanks for being here. It really does mean a lot. And this is a nice way for me to have a conversation with you, and you can reciprocate back by, if you like these videos, maybe hit the subscribe, maybe leave a comment, maybe like the video. All these things help the video spread. And if you've made it this far, you rock. I really do appreciate you. So like I always say, get out and run. See you on the next one.